Tansei, everyone. I'm just going to wait until everything loads, and then we should be good to go. So let's see. All my streaming platforms. Whoops. Why is this not working? There we go. Now I'm on all stream platforms. That's great. Okay, so Tansei, everybody. Oki, bonjour, hello. Happy Tuesday. So it is Tuesday, the 25th of May already, so soon. It's been a long day, but it's been really wonderful. So I got to hang out with some elders today. We were going and doing visits and listening to their wonderful words and their stories and their sharing, and it was just, I always feel so so humbled by all of their experiences and by their stories and just their resilience and how strong they all are. I'm having some problems with my camera, so you might be seeing some little flashes across the screen. I know I am. Hopefully you're not on your end, but if so, my apologies. But yeah, I had an amazing day. I got to see some Cree elders, and I got to see an elder from Siksika, and I got to see a Métis elder, and I'm just so thankful for their experiences. And so I just wanted to start, of course, by acknowledging the land upon which we stand, and then the land that we were driving around on today. And so I'm here in Calgary, in Mohkinstsis, better known as Treaty 7 Territory, also known as the Blackfoot Confederacy. So honor the people who have walked in this land far before I was here, far before many of us were here, the ancestors of the Blackfoot, of Siksika, Kainai, and Pagani, the ancestors of the Tsutsuna, or also known as the Beaver people, and also the ancestors of the Stoney Nakoda, which includes Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. We're also walking in the footsteps of Métis Region 3, which is why I proudly wear my Métis sash to act as that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous culture. This sash was actually gifted to me through a Blackfoot elder, so I was very, very thankful and humbled for that. And so, just to welcome everybody into the circle today, I wanted to start with the Cree welcome song. And the reason we sing this song, usually our songs are in 4, this one's in 3, to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in the circle we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end, no one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the Hoop of Life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences. Because if everybody was exactly the same, the world would be incredibly boring and nothing would ever get done. So we need those differences to bring everyone together in the circle. It teaches us to really appreciate, those gifts that we have and we bring to the circle, but also the gifts that other people bring to the circle. And it reminds us not to judge someone because we don't know the path that they're on. We don't know, the experiences that they have had that have led them to this moment, but we need to figure out what our path is. And when we honor everyone else around us and really focus on our own work that we need to do inside, the world just gets a whole lot easier. And so Miasin, it honors the circle. Miasin is a welcome song. It brings everybody into the circle. And it's from the Natahau family from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, which is on the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta. And I honor the Natahau family for keeping this song and this story alive. And this song is just so humbling. It's always a beautiful way to start because it puts me in my own body, in my own skin, in my own spirit, but it also is a way of not only opening me up, but welcoming everyone in, hoping that everyone can come in. The reason we also sing it in 3 is so if you need to leave or you need to come back into the circle at any time, you're always welcome. And that's how our life should be. And so Mia Sin doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. And I'm going to stand up to sing. Whee! Mia Sin, Mia Sin, Hasemina, Hasemina, Epetakote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino, Miasin, Miasen, kote, niwa gomagan, hota, homa, kita skino, miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwa gomagan, hota, homa, kita skino. Hi, and welcome to the circle today, everybody. So when I was out with my elders today, several of them, one of them shared a story, and I know this story too, and I love how when we hear, it might be the same story, we might hear it 1,000 times in our own lifetime, but every person who shares it has a different spin on it, has a different twist on it, has different teachings behind it, but it's not like the moral of the story is. There's so many different morals and so many different ways that you can experience those stories depending on what you're going through in your own life, depending on, of course, who's sharing that story, and just where you are on your experience level. And it's why we don't have a moral of the story. There are several morals peppered in there, but this story, I love this story. It really, it's always resonated with me ever since I was little. My mushum, which is great-grandfather, well, actually it's grandfather, but my great-grandfather shared this song with me and the story with me, and this is why whenever I hear another elder share it, I'm always brought back to when I was little and I was listening to this story. And so this is the story of before we came, and the gift that we hold, and the gift that we need to discover. And so a long time ago, when Creator first made the earth, he made all of the fish, and he made all of the plants, and he made all of the animals, and he thought, wow, look at the amazing world that I made. There's mountains, and there's gorgeous, rivers and streams and oceans and all of these incredible beings, but there's something missing. And he was looking and he thought, well, perhaps I should shape something in honor of all the spirits. And so he kind of talked to Wasakajak and a few of the other spirits who really kind of governed, and he talked to all of the animals, and they said, okay, well, I'm going to create the two-leggeds, but the two-leggeds will have a lot to learn. And so they're going to have to learn from the mountains, they're going to have to learn from the water, they're going to have to learn from the air, they're of course going to have to learn from all of the plants and the trees, which are the standing people, and they're going to have to learn from all of the animals, but most of all, they're going to have to discover for themselves a gift of spirit. And all of the animals were like, okay, what is this spirit? And Creator said that spirit was like a connection. It was a connection that they have to themselves in their very core, but it's also the connection that they have with Creator or the universe or just all of creation, however you want to look at it. So many different cultures around the world have different ways of looking at it, and it doesn't matter how you look at it. It all comes from the same place. It comes from that deep connection that we have to everything and everyone, but it starts somewhere. And so Creator counseled all of the animals and all of the plants, and he brought them all together to hear all of their voices and all of their ideas. And he said, okay, I'm going to give the two-leggeds this gift of spirit, but I don't want them to just have it, or else they'll just take it for granted. Because anything you just get, you take for granted. Whereas something you work for, something you've earned, it lasts, and it really resonates with you, and you really appreciate it. And so Creator said, well, we're going to need to hide this gift somewhere. So where should we hide this gift? And the mountain rumbled and said, why don't you hide it within me? Because I am quite large, and I'm sure the two-leggeds won't be able to reach inside. And Creator thought, well, mountain, that's a really good idea. But eventually, the two-leggeds are going to be able to drill right through you and be able to go right through you, and they'll be able to find that spirit easily. So Unfortunately, we can't hide it in the mountain. And then the mole and the earth spoke up, well, perhaps we can dig very, very deep into the earth and we can bury it there. And Creator thought, well, that would be a great idea. But eventually, the two-leggeds are going to learn how to dig. And they're going to dig so deeply that they will definitely find their spirit. And so all of the animals kind of started talking to each other, and the river started to talk, and all of the fish. And the ocean spoke up and said, well, perhaps you could hide it deep in the ocean, the bottom of the ocean. Surely the two-leggeds won't be able to survive. They won't be able to find it that deep. And Creator shook his head and said, no, they're going to be able to dive down to the depth of the ocean, and they will be able to find their spirit. And so all of the animals started talking again. And then the winds and the eagle spoke up and said, well, what about in the air? If I fly the highest that I've ever flown before, said the eagle, I could carry those spirits with me. And the wind said, and we will hold it up there within the clouds, and they will never be able to get their spirits if they're up in the air. And Creator thought, wow, that's a really great idea, but no, eventually the two-leggeds will learn how to fly like the eagle, higher than the eagle. And the eagle was like, but I can fly the highest. Like, that's not even possible. And Creator said, no, these two-leggeds, they're very, very smart, and they're very creative, and they're very innovative. They're going to figure it out, and they'll be able to find their spirit easily. And so all of the animals were just perplexed. Well, if they couldn't hide it in the mountain or underground or in the ocean or in the air, where would they be able to hide it? And Grandmother Moon said, well, what about me? If the two-leggeds, they don't know what they're looking for, so why don't you hide it on me, Creator? I'm Grandmother Moon, I can protect it. And Creator thought, oh, Grandmother Moon, that is such a beautiful thought. And they would be able to see that spirit reflecting down on them every night. But unfortunately, one day those two-leggeds, they'll be able to reach you too, Mother Moon. And all of the animals were just shocked at how amazing these two-leggeds would be. But also they were like, how are we going to hide this spirit? And so all of the animals were brainstorming, and trees are like, what about within us? And then Creator said, no. And he told the beaver, just like the beaver can cut down the trees, the two-leggeds will be able to cut down the trees too. And all of the animals started to get worried, and all of the mountains and the rivers and the streams, and everyone started to worry. And then there was a tiny little voice and said, I have an idea, Creator. And all of the animals saw the tiny little humble mouse skitter up. And he said, Creator, why don't we hide their spirit within? Because then they'll only be able to find it when they're ready. And all of the animals thought, oh, that's brilliant. And Creator said, you're right, Miss Mouse. You're right. If we hide the two-legged spirits within, they are the only ones that can find their own spirit. And so to this day, all of our spirits are within us. They're in our hearts, in our minds, within our bodies, and connected to our spirits, which is our belly button. And this is how we come into this world, is through our belly button, which is our pathway to spirit. And so this is why we can't find spirit outside ourselves. We have to find it within. So that being said, I'm going to share the Creator song. Because I really, really love this song. And this is a really beautiful song, and I found out later on it was actually a family song that I brought back. So I'm very, very grateful whenever those songs come back into my life. And so this is the Creator song. Oops, I'm not holding my drum correctly. It was on its side. I was doing something weird, so there we go. Hopefully everybody can hear me today. I had a little problem with my sound last week, and now I'm having a problem with my video this week. I think it's time I do a reboot. Hi. So, I haven't smudged. I'm gonna smudge. I got to smudge a couple times with elders. This is probably why I'm a little like relaxed, a little chill. And I also smudged before I left the house this morning, so I'm feeling pretty mellow right now. Because when we smudge, it's just like so relaxing. It's wonderful. I'm also pretty excited because these earrings that I thought I had lost, I found. And I love it when things come back that you think you've lost, and then give up, and then you find them, and you're like, oh my gosh, I appreciate these things so much. And it's not about the things themselves, it's about the spirit of the things. And so when I see these, I always think of the bear spirit and that connection to community. And I love the colors on the outside because it reminds me a lot of, you know, being on the spectrum, which is great. But also it reminds me of, you know, my two spirit roots, which is, this is who I am, this is who I be. And so I'm very thankful for that. And I'm also thankful for this. So I wear this quite often, and my friend Jessica made this, Jessica McMahon. And she's just a phenomenal dancer and flautist and just all around really incredibly talented human being. And yeah, I don't know, she's really been on my mind lately. And when I grabbed this morning to wear it, I was really thinking of hers. So sending her a lot of love and appreciation. And so, just a quick recap of the medicines. Again, I lay them out in Cree style, OG Cree style, I should say. And so, you know, this is why it's important to learn from different elders and knowledge keepers, medicine people, because you never know which teachings are going to resonate with you, or, you know, so this is why it's not about right or wrong. It's about different, what works for you in your own life, because that's your guiding force. So if it makes sense what I share, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And so just a quick thing. So we start in the east. That's where grandfather sunrise is every morning. It's a springtime. That's fire. That's connected to our mind. And then we have sweetgrass, which smells absolutely incredible. I find I have a bunch of sweetgrass, and whenever it's like really rainy outside, it starts to just smell really beautiful inside. This is why my drum's really deep today too. All right, the next medicine in the south is cedar. This is a really beautiful bough of cedar that my sister from another mother, Shelley, gave to me, and I'm really, really thankful and humbled for that because it's allergy season, so I'm using a lot of cedar. And also when it gets really rainy and moist in the air, I find that my joints hurt, so I have to boil its cedar on the stove and put it in my bath, and it really helps with muscle pain, aches, joint pain. It's also really wonderful for like rashes or anything having to do with skin conditions or muscle conditions. And so it's been really necessary in recent days, and so I'm very thankful for it because I've been using a lot of it, especially the allergy part. So it's an antihistamine, so I use it a lot for my allergies. And then the next medicine, boom, that we have, this is sage. Hello, sage. So pretty. My sister from another mother also brought me this. I'm very thankful for this. So this is buffalo sage. I'm looking forward to picking a lot of it this year. That's because I assumed I picked enough last year. I was wrong. I went out 6 times to pick. Whenever I go picking, I pick a small bundle for me and then a big bundle for community. And I ran out. I used a lot of sage in community last year. And probably because we needed it. We needed a lot of sage in community last year. And so, yeah, I'm going to pick more this year and really keep people in mind as I'm picking and bring more people out on the land to pick for community, because I think that's important. It's how we connect, right? And so sage, it's the female medicine. It's connected to Grandmother Moon. It's connected to the water. It's connected to our emotions, our heart medicine, and just that unconditional love and bringing community together in a meaningful way, which is why sage is there. And then the last medicine that we have is tobacco, this is my lovely little gift of tobacco that I got. And it smells really smoky. It's really nice. And then this is Kansasa or red willow bark, and we only pick that in the winter. So the north connects us to the winter months. It connects us to the air. It connects us to that darkness. Sometimes we need to rejuvenate ourselves, but it also connects us to spirit, because when we find that silence, when we find that quiet, that's when we can find that connection to our spirit. And so I'm only going to smudge with sage today, because sage is, well, in Cree teachings, it's the women's medicine, so you can use it at any time. In Blackfoot, they use a lot of sweetgrass, and so it's just different teachings. Again, not right or wrong, just different, and that's just how you roll. So you just want to do things that feel good to you and on your path. I think I need a new match strip. All right. There we go. I'm going to just fan it with my hand. Never blow on it, because your breath is your life, and your life is precious, and you don't waste that for anybody. So the first thing I like to do is I just wash my hands in it. Again, no right or wrong way to smudge. There's all 4 directions in the smudge bowl. The bowl itself is water, and it holds it, and you might use a shell like I do, or you might use a hollowed out rock, or like a cast iron skillet, or I've seen copper bowls, or just like little ceramic bowls, anything really that can hold it and contain it, so it's not going to burn through your Pendleton blanket like a friend of mine did. So awesome. Then the medicine, whatever you put it in, represents earth. When we light it on fire, it represents fire. And then the smoke represents air, because it goes to Creator, brings our prayers or our healing or whatever, our tensions, whatever we need up to Creator, however you believe in it. So I clean my hands, so anything that I'm carrying, I let go. Today I'm going to smudge my arms first, so I can continue to do the good work that Creator's put me here to do. Did a lot of work today, so I'm going to smudge a little extra. I'm going to smudge my hands a little extra today too. I have been working a lot with them lately, and it's good to be able to create again. I'll show you after. I'm going to smudge my body, bring it over my body 4 times to honor the 4 directions in my body. I smudge my mind so I can think clearly and learn from every person that crosses my path, so I can be open-minded to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me, but also so I can be rigid so I can not be rigid with my thinking, but be open-minded to all of the gifts that come my way. I smudge my ears so I can be open to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me, so I can listen twice as much as I speak. I give thanks for my hearing this lifetime, but I also give thanks to the messages that come through other people, so I can be open to hear them as they do come into my life. I want to smudge my eyes, very thankful for my vision this lifetime, so I may see all of the beauty that surrounds me and all of the glorious, beautiful things that are created in nature, but also so I can see the unseen. Because sometimes I think we need to see it to believe it, and sometimes we just need to believe it before we see it. I'll smudge my nose so I can smell danger and nature and cookies. I'm going to smudge my mouth so I can speak only true and kind words that are helpful and benefit mankind. Again, only asking myself, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it respectful? If it's none of those things, don't say it, don't do it. Hey, Taylor. I'll smudge my throat because I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, so I can continue to give voice to the voiceless as an activist, but also as an advocate for my community. I'm going to smudge my shoulders and my back so I can carry all of the responsibilities that Creator's gifted me with grace and humility. I'm going to smudge my lungs so I breathe good, clean air to remind myself of the sacred breath that we all share, the gift of life that all of the plants and animals share, but also to remind myself of that humility of breathing the same air as our ancestors have breathed for thousands and thousands of generations. And that's really humbling to think of. I'm going to smudge my heart so I can remember to be kind and compassionate and show unconditional love to all those that cross my path, my family, my friends, but also so we can be gentle with ourselves, because sometimes we forget to do that. I'm going to smudge my stomach so all of the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. Also send abundance to those that do not have enough around the world. Pray that no one goes hungry. I'm going to smudge my belly button. I'm very thankful for my connection to spirit, for my connection to my ancestors, and to remind me to listen to my intuition, as that is the way that spirit speaks through me. My spirit and my connection to Creator. I smudge my womanhood because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time. As a two-spirit woman, I walk in both worlds, but that masculine and feminine path. I carry ceremonies both masculine and feminine, but I am one whole being, and I'm very thankful for the ability to have my children this lifetime. Oops. I'm going to smudge my legs so I can walk this red road in a good way. That's that path of Aboriginal spirituality. I'm going to smudge my feet so I stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth, treading lightly upon her and honoring her with every step. And then if you have anywhere in your body you need a little extra love, like my back's a little sore today, my hips are crazy sore today, so I'm going to smudge my hips. I've had 4 major hip surgeries, and so when it's really wet, when the weather's wet, I can feel it. Trust me on that one. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and a little bit of pain in comparison to the teachings and the path that I'm on now, it's doable. It's definitely doable. And I know the healing will come when I'm ready. And then, if there's anyone in your life that you want to send that love and appreciation to, that intention, that healing to, maybe they've just been on your thoughts or in your mind lately, you can just hold them in your heart, bring that smoke to you, and send that love to them. And then when you're done, you can say, well, I say miigwech or chi miigwech, or hi, or merci, or grazia, or thank you, or however you say thank you in your language. It's up to you. But it's important to know just a couple words in your own language. Now I'm going to smudge my drum here, because it's been a bit. And she was just asking for a smudging, so it's like, of course. I'm going to listen to what they speak about. And I'm going to smudge my drumstick. Awesome. I'm going to share the song that I wrote. I don't like saying I wrote a song because it seems weird. The song that kind of came through me, channeled through me. This is, I call it the Blue Jay song, also the community bird song. Because when we listen, which today I was outside with elders all day, so all I heard was all of this chittering of all of these birds. And I had this weird thing. I really don't like robins for some reason. I don't know, but they were everywhere today. And I think it was that reminder of like, okay, you know what? We're not that bad. talking about the robin. I don't know why, I just find them cocky. But, but when I think of their voices, they're very crisp, they're very clear, and they cut through. And then I've heard the little sparrows, and then of course the chickadees, and then my favorite, the blue jay, that just cuts through all of that chatter and warns them, you know, if something's going on, but really helps to heal and protect and guide all of those animal voices. So if there's danger coming, you'll hear it firstly from that blue jay. But the blue jay is really amazing because it offers its voice to other members in the community. And so if a bird passes and cannot take care of its young, the blue jay will actually start taking care of its young and start speaking with the same voice as that bird. So if it's, for example, a robin who, you know, passes away and leaves its eggs, if there is a blue jay, she'll just come in, she'll sit on her eggs and wait, and then when the babies hatch, she'll actually speak as a robin so they know their voice. And it's really incredibly impressive because this is one of those things that's very like mind-boggling that birds would do that, but they do. Like, they will come in and they'll support each other. And squirrels will do the same thing, where they actually go in if somebody in their community has passed and they know that there's young there. You'll see squirrels actually dragging the young into their own nest to be able to take care of them. And it teaches us that, you know, sometimes in our community we have to step up. We have to step up and honor each other's voices and honor each other's paths, but also to be able to connect deeply and support each other in community, to be able to really hear each other. And a lot of the bird songs that we do share, it's about listening, it's about being mindful, it's about being in that moment and taking the time to hear each other. And this song is very much that. And so, yeah, this is what I call the ancestral bird song, because you can hear the ancestors through the birds' voices if you listen long enough. Okay. And this song is actually, it came to me when I was working with my friend Audrey Lane on a project called Wild Constructs. And as we were in the middle of the Weasel Head and I was listening to this cacophony of bird sounds, I could hear this song coming through me. And so this is the ancestral bird song. Way ah, way ah, way oh. 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 Way ah, way ah, today, so I'm going to share the chickadee song. The song is also one of the ones that kind of came through me. And so, the chickadee is, well, adorable. And it teaches not to take ourselves too seriously because, you know, it's kind of impossible to take yourself too seriously if you're a fat, happy bird that just, you know, says your own name most of the time or says cheeseburger. So, in the song, it really honors that joyfulness of having a conversation, of talking to each other, of listening really intently and closely to each other, and really about just how we need to take that time to spend listening to each other, because you never know what you might miss. And today was just prime example of that. So I got to sit with these amazing elders and listen. You just stop and you just listen. And it's not about asking questions. It's about letting that story take you where it needs to be told. And when you allow that to happen, just pipe in once in a while, maybe with a question or maybe with an experience, but you're actually being mindful and listening fully and completely. It's incredible the stories that are shared. It's incredible the connections and the learnings that come through those teachings. A lot of the time when we sit with an elder, if we ask a question, or if we ask for advice, or if we ask for help, we'll receive a story. And that is so important because it's not giving you a solution. It's giving you a way, in your own way, in your own being, on your own path to find that solution. And this is why this song is beautiful. It's a way to tell kids to pay attention, sit down and listen. And the chickadee story behind it, it's a little dark. So I'll do kind of like an abridged version. So when I share it with like little kids, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I'm so excited. I get to work with like pre-K and kindergarten kids tomorrow. So excited. Little voices are just amazing. And so the story behind this, not only is about listening, it's about, you know, when you hear the chickadees call, you'll hear chickadee dee 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 dee, and then you'll have that tiny pause before you hear another one respond, cheeseburger, because they talk to each other. They teach us to talk to each other, because if we're planning what we're going to say before that other person is done talking, how do we know if we're actually responding appropriately? Are we actually listening to what that person's saying? And don't we expect people to listen to us in return? And so it's really about that reciprocal relationship, and the chickadees, prime example of that, of community, and those voices that we share, and how we talk to each other appropriately. But the song, or the story behind the song, is a hunter, actually a hunting couple. They went out, so a man and his wife, husband and wife, and their 3 kids went out into the bush, and as the husband and his wife were hunting, they came across a big beautiful grizzly bear, and the grizzly bear warned them. He said, the animals are abundant this year. They are large, they are fat, they will feed your family for more than 2 seasons. You do not need to take too much, so only take what you need for the year, or something will happen, something bad will happen. But because there was such an abundance, the hunter forgot. You know, the wife forgot. And so they kept just seeing all of the animals that kept offering themselves. And then before they knew it, they actually shot twice, or actually had gathered twice what they were meant to carry with them. And they knew that meant they would have to make 2 trips back to their nation to drop off the meat. And so the mother went and spoke to her children, as mothers often do, and they said, okay, we're going to have to bring all of the meat home in 2 trips. So the first trip, we'll bring as much meat as we can. And then the second trip, when we come back, you will have to come with the remaining meat. And so we're going to have to leave you behind. And don't worry, we're only going to be gone for 4 days, because it was a 2-day trip there, 2-day trip back. But the mother warned her children of the story she knew growing up. And she always warned her children, if they weren't with her, as soon as the sun got the highest in the sky, if your shadow started to disappear, you could disappear too. So you had to go in your teepee and eat lunch at that time. And so not only was it kind of like a warning bell, like lunchtime, the sun's going away, or your shadow is going away, so it's time to eat lunch, but it was her way of saying, like, you have to go back at this time. You have to you know, be safe at this time. And the kids didn't really think much of it, but they did. They listened to their mom because, of course, their mom had it going on. And she told her daughter the same thing. She said, at night, when you're running around, make sure that you're back before the moon reaches its highest point in the sky, or else those spirits will come and they will take you from me. And she warned her boys the same thing. During the day, if you are gone, if your shadow disappears, you will disappear, and the spirits will take you from me. And so she warned her children, she kissed her children, and she said, okay, me and your dad, we're going to be back in 2 days. Or in 4 days. 2 days there, 2 days back. So 4 days. And they, of course, packed as much meat as they could, and then they took off. Leaving, of course, lots of meat. There was tons of meat. So lots of dried meat for their kids to eat. And so the kids were snacking. They were eating lots of jerky. They were cooking it up on the fire because, of course, they knew how. And then they weren't really paying attention, and they were kind of running around and chasing each other. The little girl loved hiding places. She had specific hiding places, but her brothers always knew where she was. And then the sun started getting really high in the sky, and they said, oh, no, we got to get back to the teepee. And so they ran as fast as they could, and they barely made it back into the teepee. And as they were eating, they were joking around like, oh, as if we'll be taken by spirit. That's really silly. But, you know, they didn't. They were kind of not taking it seriously, but still kind of taking it seriously because their mom had never lied to them before. And so that night, the boys went to sleep because they were exhausted searching all of these places for their sister that she kept disappearing. And they fell asleep hard. And the sister, she was very curious, especially at night. She loved the moon. And the moon, when it was at its fullest, she absolutely just wanted to stare at it with her really beautiful big eyes. And she had beautiful gold flecks in her eyes, and you always knew it was her because of those big eyes. And so as she walked out through the forest, and she was looking for how to connect with the moon more, she found this beautiful stream, and she was watching the moon ripple in the stream. She was watching as her face and her eyes were rippling with the moonlight, and she thought this was breathtaking. But then she looked up and she realized that the moon was reaching its highest position. And she ran back to the teepee as fast as she could. And then, instead of hearing footsteps, all that she heard was silence. And she could feel the wind rushing past her face, faster and faster. And then she realized she had changed. And as she looked down, she didn't have arms anymore. She had these beautiful white feathers with speckles all over them, looking like her own freckles did. She flew up to a tree overlooking her teepee, knowing that she would never go home again, and feeling so terrible that she hadn't listened to her mother. And so she cried. She cried out, woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. But then, as the sun was coming up, she fell asleep. Her brothers woke up and stretched, and they stepped outside the teepee, and they were calling her, Beep-bee, Beep-bee, and then the other one, boop, 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 boo. So as they were calling her back and forth, they realized they couldn't find their sister anywhere. And so they were searching high and they were searching low. They were searching everywhere, all of her best hiding spots, but they couldn't find her. And then they started to worry. But they were so busy frantically looking for their sister that they forgot to pay attention to the sky. And they forgot to pay attention to their shadow. And as they looked down, the last little piece of their shadow started to disappear under them. They started to fly as quickly as, well, they started to run as quickly as they could, but before they knew it, they felt lighter than air, and they felt really giggly, and they were giggling back and forth to each other, trying to call out to their sister, and they realized their voices had changed. They looked at each other, and they realized their bodies had changed too. And they were trying to explain it to each other, but they were talking over each other. And then finally, one just stopped and looked at his brother and waited for his brother to finish speaking at him. And his brother said, chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee. And the other one, taken aback by the change of his voice and the change of their appearance, called back, concerned, cheeseburger. And the boys knew that they had changed. They felt so terrible for not listening to their mother, and they knew they would never go home again. 2 more days had passed as the brothers remained in this form as 2 little joyful birds, and the sister remained in her form as that big, beautiful white bird that was only visible at night. As the parents returned back to camp, they looked around for their children everywhere. They called out and they cried, and the mother knew something had happened. The spirits had taken her children away. And so she waited, and she called out to her daughter at night, because she knew that's when her daughter loved to sneak away. And with that silence, she might find her daughter, who was soft-spoken, with her big eyes looking at the world, with her beautiful freckles on her face and on her body. And as she was calling out and crying for her daughter, she heard a soft woo-hoo, woo-hoo. She closed her eyes and she felt a tear trickle down her face. And then she felt a wind very closely past her. As she opened her eyes, she saw this wonderful bird soaring silently over top of her, and she knew that was her daughter. And as she sobbed, she asked her daughter, why? Why didn't you listen to me at night? Why did you leave at night? And she said, now, my daughter, you will have to protect all of the children at night with your beautiful song and your beautiful silence. And then the mother hugged her daughter close to her chest in that owl form and knew that she had to let her go. And then the next day, as she woke up, she heard these funny little birds that she had never heard before talking back and forth to each other. And as she came out, she saw these two little birds pecking at the meat and talking to each other. And she recognized them right away by their beautiful black caps. They looked like they had beautiful black hair on top of their very crisp heads. And she knew that was her boys. She listened to them talk to each other. And she knew that they were now the protectors of the children during the day. So if we ever look down and see our shadows disappearing, we know that the guardians are with us, whether it be the owl protecting us, or whether it be those little chickadees guiding us and reminding us to listen so we don't get into trouble. And so that is the chickadee / owl story. So this song is the chickadee song, and it's really about calling out and calling back. Usually I do it as a call and response, but I don't have anybody who can call and respond with me today, so I'm just going to sing it all the way through. So this is the chickadee song, and this came to me through in a sweat lodge, because those little chickadees were jumping in and out of the sweat lodge door when I was the only one in there, and I'm like, okay, so I guess this is your song. And I'm going to be implementing some Cree words in it as I learn. Haptio ho ho, 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 haptio ho ho. Way ah ho, way ah ho. oh, 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 happy, 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 oh, 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 way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, Um, so I'm gonna actually share, maybe two more. We'll see. We'll see what I get through. But now that I found my bear earrings, I'm gonna share the bear song. Oh, and I was gonna show you the project that I made. So yesterday, I made this beautiful, lovely thing. So I was actually doing it for a video where I was teaching, and so the clasps on either end are different. So this one is a magnetic sliding clasp, which I put on with beads. Super cool. I don't know, you can't really see it like that. There we go. Nice, pretty. And then the other end is just a sliding clasp where you actually glue it in, which is pretty cool. So a couple different versions. I'm doing that to teach kids how to do bead looming for one school. And I talk a little bit about spirit beads in it. So let me see if I can actually find my spirit beads. I actually put a couple spirit beads in here, or 4 to represent the kids. A couple of gold ones. I believe I put a pink one in here. And then, see, it's good. You know that you've messed up good when you can't find your own spirit beads. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's my spirit bead. Little pink one right there. And I have some gold ones up on this end. Oops. Yeah, so instead of the yellow, I have some gold stuck in there. I have an extra orange stuck in there. But, and then I have this really bright turquoise one instead of a blue one. So, with spirit beads, it's intentional mistakes, so that it's marking your work, but it's also reminding you to be humble. And so that's really important. You always have to be humble. And so I know usually I finish off with either the Thunderbird song or the traveling song, but this time I think I'm going to end with the bear song, because I've been thinking a lot about community and just how it connects each and every one of us, and especially now the bears are kind of wandering around. They're starting to build their own communities, and they're really cognizant of what needs to be done. They pay attention, they listen, and they know, and they teach us what to eat, when to eat it. They teach us, you know, if the elk, is there an abundance of elk this year, then only eat elk. Or if they're not really eating any of those and eating a lot of rabbits, do the same thing. Eat a lot of rabbits. Rabbits are pretty delicious. There's obviously an abundance. But also they teach us like what berries to eat. If they're not eating one particular berry, it's that berry's season to renew itself. And so you have to remember that. And you let the birds take those berries and deliver them in their fantastic delivery system wherever they need to go. Same with the deer, they'll do the same thing. Same with the bear, they'll do the same thing. And so it reminds us of really listening and watching the patterns of nature, because the bear does that. It knows how to listen. It knows how to use its nose to sense what needs to come next. It knows how to move and expand or contract its territory. And so it reminds us that we need to do that. There's moments when we need to just, you know, dial it back, or there's moments when we need to move forward. There's moments when we have to let things go, or there's moments when we can accept help. And the bear knows this, and it tries to teach us those moments. Because that's what community is. The bear knows that it's not above or below anything in community. It's part of that community, because without those things that are around it, it wouldn't be here either. And it reminds us of that. It reminds us to be humble. It reminds us of strength. It's the strength to stand up for what's right. And it also reminds us of courage. The courage to be ourselves, which sometimes can be really scary. And so the bear is carrying so much wisdom for us. And I think sometimes we have this obsession with predators in our culture. Like everybody thinks that their spirit animal is like a bear or some sort of predator. But sometimes our spirit animals are the things that we need to learn the most, those lessons that we need to learn the most. So things like humility, or things like sacrifice from the muskrat, or things like wisdom and listening and silence from the owl, or things like having those conversations and actually listening before you respond from the chickadee. And so there are many different things that, like humor. The frog teaches us humor because, it bumps its butt when it hops. Hilarious. But it also teaches us about transformation. And so there's all of these lessons that we can learn from the animals. And so when you're looking at those animals, what can you learn the most from? That's, I think, really important. But the bear teaches us really about that humility. It teaches us about community and about being part of community, not above it, not below it, but part of it. And it also teaches us about timing, because it always knows when to go to sleep and when to wake up. That's what hibernation's all about. So it teaches us that sometimes we have to pick our battles. Sometimes we have to walk away from situations that we've invested a lot of time in. Even though it might be heartbreaking, it's the best thing to do. And the bear teaches us how to do that efficiently and effectively and without regret. So yeah, this is the bear song to close out this wonderful session this week. Thank you guys so much. And this is the bear song. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another fabulous Tuesday. Feel free to share. I always say, I always archive everything and save everything, because you never know what teachings you need to learn on any given day. And so sometimes I might share the same songs, and the meanings behind them might differ depending on what you need that day. And so yes, please feel free to share. We do have public songs, but we also have community songs, ceremony songs. So it's not about ownership, it's about what people need, and it's about what is allowed to be out in community. And so what I'm sharing is allowed to be out in the community. And so if you have any questions, definitely let me know. But also, yeah. Hi, Shimagwich. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I know I've been really tired, so but it was worth it. I had a beautiful day with the elders today and a lot of lessons learned. So I'm very, very thankful and humbled. And I hope to see everybody next week. Well, I really see them. Share with everybody next week. But eventually we'll get this two-way thing rolling, and I can't wait until we can actually drum and sing and share in person again. So hi everybody. Have a beautiful, safe week. Stay dry, and I hope your gardens and your growth are looking fantastic. Hi Chimagwich, and have a wonderful